Alright, what's up you guys? I'm back. And today I wanted to just go over some things that I did to help me get my first job. When I graduated college in May, I ended up moving to Tennessee. I started my first day of work on July 1st, so it didn't take me long to find myself a new job. I moved here with 3 months of living expenses, which is kind of risky. If you guys are planning to move somewhere after you graduate, I'd recommend at least saving up 6 months just to be safe, because I was kind of getting scared when I was using all my money and I didn't have a job yet. Right after college, if you don't have a job, then at least build up an emergency fund. So today I'll be going over just some things that I did to help me get my first job. I only had 2 interviews, and from those 2 interviews, I had 2 job offers. I'm pretty aware that when I graduated in 2021, that was like a really hot job market. So that's one thing that helped me. Another thing is being in Tennessee. Tennessee is really booming right now. It seems like every 5 minutes you drive, there seems like another construction site. Those are 2 key factors that aren't related to me, but sort of help me. Today I'll be going over some things that you can do to help yourself. Alright, so the first thing, really important, get an internship while you're in college. It doesn't have to be related to the job that you're going to be working, but it shows that you're a go-getter and you have some experience. So when I was in college, I worked for a general contractor back in Hawaii. What your internship does is when you get interviewed, you can talk about what you did during your internship and how, even if it's not related, it can relate to what you'll be doing during that job. Since I was a GC, some stuff they asked me was like, describe your internship experience. And what I said was, during my internship, I learned how to interpret plans. I think this could help me during this job because I can take it from the contractor's perspective of what a drawing needs to look like and how to make those drawings something that people can understand. I remember one question during the interview was, do you have grading experience? One of the hardest things to do in development is creating grading plans, because every site is different and it can get kind of tricky with adding walls and whatnot. So I remember they asked me that during my interview, do I have experience with grading? And instead of just saying, no, I don't, what I said was just, no, I don't have experience with grading, but I have looked at grading plans and I do know how to interpret them. Giving them something is better than nothing, so you could say something like that. And I don't want to discourage you if you don't have an internship and you're about to graduate, because during the interview, if they ask you questions, you could always refer to things that you did in courses or projects that you did. Those will kind of help you answer those questions that they ask. The next thing I recommend is, while you're still in school, build your resume. A lot of colleges, if not all, have resources that you can go to help build your resume, and even people that can look at your resume and give you feedback. I know my school had it was called a CAP Center, Career and Planning Center. If you needed help building your resume, you could go there. I didn't do that, but I know it's something that I would recommend if you don't have your resume. I already had a resume, so I didn't have to worry about that. Next thing I recommend doing is building a portfolio. This should be all the projects you've done in school. In my portfolio, I put some photos of the multifamily project that I was working on when I was an intern. You should be putting just what the project was about, why you did it, and what you learned from it. For instance, my multifamily project, during that I learned how to do material takeoffs, quality control, reading drawings, working with subcontractors, learning how to conduct meetings, and all the other stuff that's related to a project. So you kind of want to put what it's about and what you got out of it. Another thing to keep in mind is, just because you don't have the right experience doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply for the job. When you first graduate college, they're not looking at what you've done. They're kind of looking more at your potential. Even if you have experience that's not at all related, then still make sure to send in your resume and hope for the best. Alright, and another thing that you should do is learn some skills that you'll be using during the job. One thing that I had in college, I was pretty lucky. I had an AutoCAD Civil 3D class. During the interview, they asked me what's my experience level with AutoCAD. And even though I wasn't really competent in Civil 3D, I at least knew the terms and the features of Civil 3D, so I could say I did pipe networks once, I know how to do layouts, and all the all the other stuff. And even though you're not going to be able to answer like specific questions, at least you know what they're talking about when they ask you that kind of stuff. And if you don't have a license, or your school doesn't have a Civil 3D license, at least try to look up YouTube videos or do your research on Civil 3D or software that you're going to be using, because at least you'll be able to talk about the features and other things that you'll be using, and you won't be totally clueless. Next thing I did was I got certificates. Before my job, there was only 2 things that I did. I was a certified EIT, so engineering training, in the state of Tennessee, and all I had to do was just send in my transcripts and show that I passed the FE exam. Another thing that you should be doing is passing the FE exam, because that's something you're going to be doing anyways. You don't want to be doing that when you're 4 years in and you're like, oh shit, I need to take the PE exam, but first I need to take the FE exam. That just puts even more pressure on yourself. That's one thing I really recommend you doing as soon as possible, when the information is still fresh in your mind. And if you're watching this video and you're still in school, the best thing you can do is make connections wherever you are and hopefully land a job before you graduate. That's what I'd say 90-95% of my classmates did. I went to school in Oregon, and all the people that were staying there, they pretty much got jobs before they graduated, whether it was from internships or connections or even professors. Finding a job before you graduate, it's so much better than what I did looking for a job after I already moved. So some things that you could do for this is go to career fairs, do a good job in your internship. At the end of my internship, they asked me if I wanted to work, and I didn't know if I was moving back home or not. So that was another option I could have done. But yeah, go to career fairs, ask family, friends. It's a lot easier to find a job when you're an engineer. So use that to your advantage and ask around. With these tips, I hope that you can find your first job. Good luck with your job search. I'll see you in the next video.